Okay. Here's another lesson on ratios. So this lesson is created for those who feel left behind, who do not understand the concept of ratios fully. Right? You can also come back to this video as in the somewhere in the future you want to make reference, you want to revise the concept. That's the purpose of this video for you guys. Okay. So it's ratios, right? Ratios. What are ratios actually? What are they? What are they? What are they? What are they? So a ratio can be defined as a ratio is a comparison of two or more quantities that show how many times one value contains or is contained in another. There's O here. In another. Okay, so this is the definition for a ratio. So let's say maybe for example I have this 1/2. By the way, a fraction is also considered what? A ratio. Numerator to denominator. Numerator to what? To denominator. How many parts of the denominator are found in the numerator? Or when I read that the other way around, how many parts are found in the denominator? Right? Sometimes we write the ratio like this: 1 to 2. Okay, 1 to 2. So this is the same as that. So this is the ratio form representation of a ratio, and then this is the fractional form representation of what? Of a ratio. Right? Of a ratio. Now let's say apples were shared between two siblings. Maybe 20 were given to the first sibling, which is the sister. It's the female one. And then the other set of apples were shared with the brother, the next sibling. Let's say maybe he got only 10 apples. So 20 apples, 10 apples, right? So this is how the apples were shared. In total, there were 30 apples, right? So this is the actual amounts shared. These are the actual amounts shared. Now this can be simplified into a ratio. When simplified into a ratio, this can be actually used in the future as a sharing mechanism in a way. Look, I'm gonna say 20 divided by 10. What am I getting? I'm getting a 2. It means that the apples were shared between the siblings in a ratio of 2 to 1, right? 2 to 1. Or you can do it like this and say 10 over 20. So the 10 gets a 1, and then the 20 gets what? A 2. And then the 20 gets what? A 2. So the apples were shared between a ratio between the siblings on a ratio of what? 2 to 1. So this is now a ratio, simplified ratio. The 20 to 10, yes, it's also considered a ratio, but this is the simplified ratio. Now you can apply this to share. You can use the same mechanism or the same ratios to share other items. Maybe you want to share candies between the two siblings. You're gonna use a ratio of 2 to 1. Let's say maybe you want to share something else, maybe money. You can do the same. Use the ratio of 2 to 1, right? So this is just a brief introduction or an overview of what to expect when working with ratios. Now, by the end of this lesson, you should be able to know how to work with ratios. You should be able to know how to work with ratios, simplifying ratios or writing ratios as simplest form to their simplest form. Number 3, sharing a given amount by a given ratio. And then lastly, finding an unknown ratios. So we're going to do some calculations around these topics. So for the first one, we have this. We want to simplify ratios, writing ratios in their simplest form. So for 1.1, simplify the ratio. So the ratio is 2 to what? 16. So in other words, okay, with this one, right? Some cases you might be required to calculate without the use of a calculator, né? But most of the time, they just want a straight up answer here, né? They just want a straight up answer. So actually, how you simplify this, it's by looking or working out the number that goes into the biggest number that goes into 12 and 16 without leaving any remainder. The largest number that can divide into 12 and 16 without leaving a remainder. And I believe that number should be 4. So divide by 4, divide by 4. 12 divide by 4, that's 3. 16 divide by 4, that's what? That's 4. I don't have any number that goes into 3 and 4 at the same time without leaving any number. So this is the simplified form of these two ratios. Or you can just do it with a calculator. 12 divided by 16 is equal to what? 3 over 4. So that means we have a ratio of what? 3 to 4. So that's confirmed. That is confirmed. Okay, so that's 1.1. Now for the next question, 1.2, a recipe calls for 45 grams of sugar and 60 grams of what? Flour. Write the ratio of sugar to flour in its simplest form. Write ratio of sugar to flour in its simplest form, right? So 1.2, you have sugar to flour, right? Sugar to what? To flour. What is the mass, the measurement for sugar? That's 45 grams. And then to flour, that is what? 60 grams. So simplifying this, pull out your calculator and punch this in. We are getting a 3 to 4 once again. Then for 1.3, in a classroom there are 24 boys and 36 girls. Simplify the ratio of boys to girls. So They want us to write down the ratio between boys and girls. Between boys and girls. How many boys do we have in class? 24. How many girls do we have? 36. You take your calculator and then you write this as 24 divided by 36. So the simplified ratio is 2 to 3. Nayi answer yakho ke. Okay, so 1, writing ratios in their simplest form. This is how you do it. This is how you do it. Let's take this down. Now for the second type of ratio questions, this is where you share or you divide a given amount, right? You divide or you share a given amount. So in this case, we have 2.1, right? 2.1. We want to divide 300 Rand among 3 friends in the ratio 2, 3, and 5, right? So 3 friends, right? So for the first friend, his share will be, so the first friend has a ratio of 2. He's given a ratio of 2. So you write it down here, ratio of 2. Then you divide by the sum total of all the given ratios. So what is 3 plus 5? That's 8. Plus 2, that gives us what? A 10. Then you multiply by the amount to be shared. Sum of all ratios. Then this 2 is the assigned ratio. So it's the assigned ratio divided by the sum of all ratios multiplied by the amount to be shared. When you read the question, you're gonna understand you have to understand what is required of you and what is given. In this case, divide, it's another word for what? Share, right? It's another word for what? Share. You are given a ratio. It means that you have to take the 300 and split it among the 3 friends. So in this case, let's work out the share for the first friend. So that's going to be 2 divided by 10 multiplied by 300. That's 60. So the first friend gets a 60 Rand. And then the second friend gets how much? So is assigned a ratio of 3 divided by what? By 10 multiplied by 300. So I'm going to change this to 3 and work out the share. That's 90 Rand. So the share is going to be what? 90 Rand. Then for the third friend, he's getting the biggest ratio, which is 5 divided by 10. We multiply by 300. I think the answer here is going to be 150, but let's confirm. Change the 3 to a 5. Answer is 150. Check. All shared by their ratios. 2.2. For 2.2, we have a total of 120 sweets and are to be shared between 2 children in the ratio of 4 to 6, right? 4 to 6. So 2.2, first child. The first child will get how many sweets? So the assigned ratio for the first child is 4. Then I'm going to add the 2 ratios to get what? The denominator for this fraction. That's going to be what? 10 multiplied by 120. We are sharing 120 amongst the children. So it's going to be 4 over 10 multiplied by 120. I'm getting 48 sweets. for the first child. Then for the second child, I'm getting what? We're gonna say 6/10 multiplied by 120. How many sweets is this one getting? I'm changing this to a 6. The answer is what? 72 sweets. And when you add the 2 shares, you should get an answer of 120, because we shared a total of 120 sweets. One got 48, another one got 72. When you combine, you should be getting the total number of sweets initially shared. Alright, so for the last one, 2.3, a company distributes a profit of 1,500 among 3 partners in the ratio of 5 to 3. How much does each partner get? First partner equal to 5 over, that's 10, because it's 5 plus 3 plus 2, that's 10. So it's 10 multiplied by 1,500. Second partner equal to 3 over 10 multiplied by 1,005. Third partner gets what? A ratio of 2 divided by 100, 1,005. Okay, yeah, that's 5, 1,500. So I'm getting a 750 as the first share. 750 divided by 3. Okay, now it's gonna be a 3 here. I'm getting a 450, and then for the last partner, it's gonna be what? It's gonna be a 2. It's gonna be a 2. So this one is getting what? 300. So this is how we share, or how we work with cases of ratios where we have to share a given amount by the given ratio. Now for the last part of our lesson, we are finding the unknown ratios. Okay, so in this case, you are actually given a ratio. You are given a ratio. You have to use that ratio to work out the unknown ratio. I know it sounds a little bit confusing, but when you do it, it's gonna make sense. So if the ratio of apples to oranges is 3 to x, 3 to x, look, this represents what? A ratio. This is my ratio, but there's a missing ratio, that is x. There are 18 apples and 12 oranges. Find the value of x. So apples were distributed, 18 and 12 oranges were distributed as well, right? So there's 2 ways of doing this. You can do the cross multiplication thing, where you say x times 18, you're gonna get an 18x equal to, you times the 3 and the 12, that's 36. Okay, then you're gonna divide both sides by 18. Then it's gonna be a divide by 18. I'm getting what? X as equal to what? 2. Or you can simplify these 2 values to their simplest ratio. So you're gonna do this, 18 divided by 12. Answer is what? Is 3 to 2. Then your answer is what? Is 2. That's another way of looking at this problem. 3.2, a distance of 6 kilometers is covered by 2 cyclists in the ratio 2 to 3. If the first cyclist covers 24 kilometers, how far does the second cyclist cover? A distance of 60 kilometers is to be covered by 2 cyclists. If the first cyclist covers a 24 kilometer, how far does the second cyclist cover? Okay, so 3.2, I have a ratio of what? 2 to 3. So 2 cyclists cover the distance of 60 by the ratio of 2 to 3, right? So the first cyclist covers this much, covers by a ratio of 2, and then the second one covers by a ratio of what? 3. So if the first cyclist covers 24, I'm gonna place a 24 here. How far does the second one cover? We don't know. I'm gonna place an X. In order to get or find the value for X, I'm gonna do a cross multiplication. So 2 times X, that's 2X. 3 times 24, 24 times 3, that's 72. Divide both sides by 2. Then my X is gonna be equal to 36 kilometer. Alright, 3.3. I feel like you can also do it by saying 60 minus 24. That's gonna work as well, right? Because they gave you the total. Okay, so last one, let's go. 3.3. The ratio of the ages of two brothers is 5 to 7. 3.3. So we have the first brother being B1, and then we have the second brother being B2. So there's a ratio of 5 to 7, right? Ratio of the ages of two brothers is 5 to 7. If the older brother is 35 years old, what is the younger brother's age, right? What is the younger brother's age? So the oldest one surely should have the highest ratio, right? So he's 35. How old is the younger brother? We're gonna place an X, we cross multiply. I'm getting a 7X, then we take 5 and multiply 35 with it. I'm gonna have a 175 divide by 7, X is equal to, divide this by 7, I'm getting a 25. So the younger brother is 25 years of age. Alright, this concludes our lesson for today. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you got some value out of this one. I'll catch you on the next one.